They messed up big time when they decided to tangle with me. Let me tell you a story that'll make your jaw drop, a tale of how a group of HOA big shots turned my quiet life into a nightmare, and how I flipped their game into a cash-making masterpiece. Yep, they built a fence to block the only road to my farm, but they clearly never heard the saying, "Don't mess with a Kentucky farmer." Right now, I'm counting stacks of money from my homemade toll booth while the HOA president is sweating bullets, explaining to his bosses why their budget vanished into thin air. Where are you reading this from? Drop a comment if you've ever had a run-in with an HOA, good or bad. I bet your stories can't top the wild ride I'm about to take you on. I'm Caleb Harper, a 38-year-old remote software consultant with a lifelong obsession for tinkering with electronics and DIY projects. 3 years ago, in the spring of 2022, I bought a 30-acre farm just outside Lexington, Kentucky, chasing my dream of living off the land. The place was a mess when I got it: overgrown fields, a creaky old farmhouse, and a barn that looked like a strong breeze could knock it over. But where others saw a dump, I saw a canvas. The soil was rich, the water rights were solid, and it was just far enough from the city to feel like freedom, but close enough to grab supplies when I needed them. Since I was a kid, I've been tearing apart gadgets and rebuilding them, sometimes better, sometimes with a few sparks my parents weren't thrilled about. Over the years, I taught myself coding and circuitry, which came in handy when I started automating my farm. My first big project was a smart irrigation system that used sensors and weather data to water my crops just right, saving water and giving me a killer harvest that first summer. Then I built a solar-powered chicken coop with doors that opened at dawn and locked at dusk to keep foxes out. I even rigged a system that texted me when my goats were about to give birth, tracking their movements. My farm was my Havana place to grow food, raise animals, and tinker with tech. Locals would swing by on weekends to buy eggs and veggies, and I'd rent out a corner of the land for campouts or small parties. The road to my farm, a dirt path older than most folks around, cut through a patch managed by the Willow Creek Homeowners Association, a ritzy neighborhood about a half-mile away with perfect lawns and matching mailboxes. I wasn't part of the HOA, but I had a legal easement from the previous owner, filed with the county, guaranteeing my right to use that road forever. For 3 years, it was smooth sailing. I got along great with my neighbors, especially Tom and Margaret Wilson, an older couple who'd lived nearby for decades. Tom, a retired mechanic, helped me debug my wilder projects, and Margaret traded her famous peach cobblers for my eggs. Life was good until a fancy envelope landed in my mailbox one chilly Monday in March 2022. I just finished wiring a new automated feeder for my goats, covered in dust and straw, when I grabbed the mail. The letter, all official with the Willow Creek HOA seal, screamed trouble. It mentioned an urgent meeting about unauthorized road use and security upgrades. I wasn't an HOA member, and my easement was rock solid, so the vague corporate jargon set off alarm bells. I decided to show up at the meeting to clear things up, not knowing I was walking into a 6-month war where only one side would come out on top. The meeting was held on a stormy Thursday evening at the Willow Creek Community Center. Rain hammered my truck as I drove down the very road they wanted to mess with. I parked my beat-up pickup between 2 shiny SUVs, my muddy boots leaving tracks on their polished floor as I walked in, drawing side eyes from the prim crowd. About 25 residents sat in neat rows, and I spotted Tom Wilson, who gave me a worried nod. Up front stood a slick guy in a tailored suit, his graying hair perfect, his shoes shinier than a new penny. He introduced himself as Victor Grayson, the new HOA president, fresh from a hotshot real estate gig in Louisville. Next to him was Helen Carter, the HOA manager, gripping her tablet like it held the nuclear codes. Victor breezed through pool upgrades and picnic plans before dropping the bomb: the farm road issue. With a smug tug at his tie, he announced plans for Willow Creek Villas, a fancy housing project next to the neighborhood that'd boost property values by 30%. A projector flashed images of mansions with pools and private tennis courts. But there was a hitch. My unsightly farm was causing unwanted traffic. He unveiled plans for a massive security gate and fence to control access and beautify the entrance code for screwing me over. The gate, complete with cameras and keycard access, was set to go up the next day. I couldn't stay quiet. My chair screeched as I stood, heart pounding. I'm Caleb Harper, owner of that unsightly farm, I said, voice steady despite my boiling blood. I've got a legal easement guaranteeing my access to that road. You can't block it without notice or discussion. The room went dead silent. Victor's fake smile twitched, but he bounced back fast. Mr. Harper, the HOA controls community roads. Your arrangement is outdated. You can buy an access card for $3,000 a year generous, considering the value we're adding. I shot back. It's not an arrangement. It's a recorded easement, filed with the county. My farm was here before your McMansions. Victor brushed me off, saying the board had already voted, and moved on like I was a nuisance. I left the meeting fuming, rain dripping from my hat as I stood in the parking lot. A neighbor, Ed Thompson, a grizzled guy in his 60s, pulled me aside. Victor's got a deal with the developers, he whispered. He's done this before Gates. Fake violations, water shutoffs. He wants your land for the project and will make your life hell until you sell. My stomach sank. I called my old college buddy, Sarah Nguyen, a real estate lawyer in Lexington. Despite the late hour, she answered, and I spilled the story, pacing my kitchen. She was blunt. They can't ignore a recorded easement, but fighting it could take months and cost a fortune. She told me to grab a certified copy of the easement from the county and document everything: photos, conversations, the works. If they blocked my access, I could call the sheriff for legal imprisonment. But when I woke up the next morning to the roar of bulldozers, I knew things had gone from bad to worse. By dawn, a construction crew was slamming up an 8-foot metal fence and a keycard gate across my road. I ran out, half-dressed, boots untied, and demanded to speak to the boss. The workers shrugged, saying they were just following orders. An hour later, Victor rolled up with Helen, both dressed like they were headed to a boardroom. He waved a supposed permit, keeping it just out of reach, and smirked. This is HOA property, Mr. Harper. Register for a $3,000 access card. Takes 5 to 7 days to process. He handed me a temporary card, good for a week, like he was doing me a favor. I was livid but took the card and drove to the county office, grabbing a certified easement copy. The clerk, a kind older woman, confirmed it was airtight, filed in 1968. At Sarah's office, she reviewed it and nodded. They can't block you legally, but they're stalling. Courts are backed up 3 weeks minimum for an injunction. Back home, the gate was done, a steel monster with cameras glaring at me. Victor handed me another temporary card, saying, pay up after 7 days, or find another way home. Then he leaned in, voice low. I know you're digging into legal stuff. File your injunction. By the time it's done, my deal's locked, and you'll be sorry. That's when it hit me. If they could charge for my road, why couldn't I? I walked my property line, checking the survey, and noticed the gate's edge curved onto my land. 3 feet of their fancy mechanism was on my property. A mistake they'd regret. Sarah confirmed I could control anything on my land, including their gate. I called my buddy Jake Miller, a contractor who'd helped me fix my barn. He hated suits telling folks what to do, and confirmed the encroachment after studying the survey. We hatched a plan, build my own toll booth on my land, right next to their gate. With my tech skills, I could make it automated and bulletproof. We worked all weekend, grabbing supplies from hardware stores and calling in favors. By Sunday morning, we had a slick toll booth, sturdy, solar-powered, with a lifting arm, cameras, and a payment system. Signs read, Harper Farm Toll Road, $20 per crossing, $100 per monthly pass. Residents coming home that day were stunned. I stood there in a clean shirt, explaining calmly, this road's on my land, just like the HOA claims theirs. Pay to cross, or talk to Victor. Some grumbled, some laughed, but most paid to get home. By afternoon, cars were backed up, and word spread fast. Helen spotted the booth while hauling groceries and nearly lost it, screaming about calling Victor. He showed up, face red as a beet, yelling, this is illegal. You're blocking a public road. I stayed cool. You said it's not public when you built your gate. This is my land, check the survey. He called the cops, but Officer Daniels, who I'd met before, reviewed my documents and shrugged. Civil matter, Mr. Grayson. Take it to court. Victor was furious, but powerless. The HOA held an emergency meeting, painting me as a troublemaker. They hired a pricey lawyer, Richard Evans, who sent a cease and desist letter full of empty threats. Sarah laughed it off. The HOA tried cutting my power. Solar kept me running, sent inspectors, we passed, and pushed for business permits. Sarah argued it was just a property fee. My booth kept raking in thousands. Residents got fed up, not with me, but with Victor for starting this mess. Why pay twice to get home? A local reporter, Emma Carter, wrote a viral story about the toll war, and my booth became a local legend, with folks snapping selfies. Then things got dirty. My cameras caught Victor, Richard, and a third guy vandalizing my booth at 2 a.m., spray painting cameras, and smashing the terminal. I filed charges, rebuilt stronger, and added a sign. Special fee for Victor Grayson, $1,000 per crossing. I posted the footage online, and it blew up. Digging deeper, I found Victor was pocketing commissions from Willow Creek Villas developers and had faked the gate's permit to dodge my easement. A leaked email showed him bragging about forcing me to sell. I invited him to a peace talk at Sarah's office, where he rejected my offer to end the tolls if they removed their gate. He boasted about rigging the HOA board, not knowing we were recording, legal with a posted notice. I dropped everything: video, emails, proof of his shady deals on social media, and sent it to every resident and Emma. Her expose hit like a bomb, picked up by bigger outlets. The HOA board fired Victor, who faced my lawsuit and vandalism charges. They removed the gate, recognized my easement, and paid my costs. The villas project tanked, and the land became a nature preserve. I used the $15,000 in toll money to start a fund for others fighting HOA bullies. I threw a big barbecue, inviting all but Victor. Neighbors rallied, and my farm became a community hub for workshops, markets, and school trips. Victor sold his house and slunk away. I put up a sign where the booth stood: "Never mess with a farmer who builds and fights." The HOA reformed, and my automation guide went viral among farmers. That fence meant to trap me? Now it's open gates and wildflowers. Sometimes, a stubborn guy with a clever idea can beat the greedy suits. What's your take? Was I right to fight fire with fire, or did I go too far with the toll booth? Ever dealt with an HOA bully like Victor? Drop a comment, hit like, and subscribe for more stories of sticking it to the man.